Alrighty. All right, welcome everybody to the POLSA and
Ukrainian Club Easter GBM.
yeah, clap it up. There we go. So, yeah, over there we have the POLSA like sign in. If you can, please sign in. Sign in.
And Ukrainian Club, feel free to sign in with that sign as well. We're just combining them this time.
Yep, and we also have a few questions, like I was saying, about potential social ideas, like because I heard somebody in this club mention that they want to do a basketball social, for example. So if anybody wants to do that and or learn how to play basketball if you've never done it before, go for it, sign up. So welcome. These are the rest of our QR codes, if anybody needs it. Oh wait, I don't see anybody raising their, oh, I see one. Okay, so I'll wait a few seconds.
Yes. And Ukrainian Club will have their QR codes at the end of the presentation.
All right, I think everybody's good. So we'll go next. All right, so here's what we're doing today. Each of our clubs will kind of go over what's going on in our clubs as we kind of reach and are approaching the end of the semester. Then we'll have kind of like a run through of how our officer nominations work, if anybody wants to run for a position for the board next year. Then we have awesome food, which Sasha helps to bring.
Yeah, which is catered by our local Ukrainian grandma. Always the best.
So that's what's going on. And then finally we have over here, we have a bunch of supplies for pisanki. So we have brushes, paints, all that stuff. So we'll have a pisanki competition where top 6 in each category, or like one person in each of the 6 categories will win a prize from here, and then we'll do a best overall. So that's what's coming in.
All right, so we'll start it out with the Ukrainian Club announcements. We have a few upcoming events. The main one is our Pascha fundraiser this week. So we, as you can see on around some of your tables, we have the flyers for this. We're doing the Pascha fundraiser for the 2nd year in a row. And we're advertising pre-orders up until Wednesday evening. And then Friday through Sunday, we're gonna have the distribution of the Pascha. And on Saturday, the distribution is at Hale Farmers Market. And our last GBM will be April 15th, and we will also be holding our e-board elections during that time. So a little bit more about the Pascha fundraiser. So we're doing pre-orders for small and large Pascha packages, and 100% of the payment goes towards medical aid in Ukraine, which we are buying and shipping directly towards volunteers. We were able to cover 100% of the costs for the actual supplies of the Pascha. So you can think of your payment for this Pascha as a direct donation to the cause, and you're just receiving this Pascha as a gift. So it's a really great way to support Ukraine right now. And more than 2 years into the full-scale invasion, we're getting a lot of compassion fatigue, and it's difficult to collect donations. On the whole, statistically, there are fewer donations. So if you're able to purchase a Pascha and make your small contribution to supporting aid to Ukraine, we would really appreciate it. And we also need some help and volunteers for tabling Tuesday and Wednesday, and Friday pickup. There will be forms for that on the next slide. So if you're able to help us volunteer with that, please scan the QR code, and you can fill out the, the form. And we'll also have that at the end of the presentation. Now a little bit about our elections and election process. So we will be holding elections at our next GBM, and these are the positions that are up for re-election, which is all of our positions. So briefly about each position: the president leads the executive board and drives the club's vision. The vice president handles externally facing opportunities, speakers, networking, and communicating with other departments at UF. The treasurer, of course, handles the budget and funding, applying for SARs. The outreach chair networks with the community and handles external communication, so communication that's not with the actual members of the club. And the events chair organizes events and maintains engagement and communication with members within the club. So if you're interested in any of these positions, if you've been part of the Ukrainian club, or if you're pretty new to it, but have lots of enthusiasm and passion for participating in the Ukrainian community on campus, please consider running for a position. We're gonna need to replace a lot of the positions. Like I'm graduating this year, so we'll need a new president, and lots of these positions are open. So please do consider applying, and we will have that at the end of the slides as well. So as far as the election procedures go, the election will be taking place live at the GBM4 in April. You can submit your candidacy through the Google form. It's just a little bit of information about yourself and a few questions that'll guide our understanding of your passion for Ukraine and what are some of your ideas for future projects in the club. And we'll vote for each position immediately after each candidate gives a short speech. Just submit us one slide with some information about yourself and why you're interested in Ukraine and applying for that position, and you'll be entered into the election. Now onto the Polish club announcements.
All right, so now POLSA announcements. What's going on for the rest of the semester? Oops, almost spoiled that. Bear with me. All right, so our last GBM is Tuesday, the 23rd of April. It is currently scheduled for Matherly, same room that we're in right now. So be on the lookout for that. And then socials. So we just had a Lake Walberg social this Saturday, which we had a pretty good turnout. We collaborated with the Gator Hungarian Club, which coincidentally happened on the Polish-Hungarian Friendship Day on the 23rd of March, which is a thing, which we found out fairly recently, which is really cool. So we had that, and everybody had a good time and was thinking, you know, maybe let's do another one. So be on the lookout for that. We'll probably, it'll be on a Saturday again, most likely, and we'll send out info when that will be. Like I mentioned, one of our members said that maybe they want to do, as POLSA, we want to do like a basketball and or a volleyball meetup. So be on the lookout for that. Most likely we'll do it on Fridays, and it's called West Side Park is where we're thinking about doing it. And it will be maybe around like 3 p.m., so 3 in the afternoon, more or less, because later on in the day, park gets pretty busy. So unless you want to play full-on pickup games with hardcore, good, borderline professional athletes, then better that we meet a little bit earlier in the day. What we're doing is we'll be at Viva Europe this year, which is the 6th of April, and we'll be there from 1 to 4 p.m. We have a few activities planned for I think kids and like stuff of that nature. We'll have like a soccer type maze because we have Lewandowski and like stuff like that. So our team is pretty decent. So we'll have like an activity related to that. We'll have a coloring activity. So if you want to stop by, see what they're doing. In the Pinellas Canyon, we have something called SPIFs. Diana, do you remember what it stands for by any chance?
I do not.
Okay, but it's basically like a cultural festival or like
Oh,
a bunch
I
of
do. St. Petersburg International Folk Festival.
There we go, perfect. So this is kind of like the Alachua County version of that. So basically show up and you get to see a bunch of different cultures, you know, kind of highlighting what they're about and some activities that they're doing. Like I mentioned, Lake Walberg, be on the lookout for that. So POLSA, and I want to say all the clubs got an extra $500 of base funding for this semester. So with that in mind, we're thinking about doing, now that we have the funding, like basically like maybe a pottery type class where like you can come learn and potentially learn how to do some Polish type pottery. So be on the lookout for that. We do have the funding, so very likely, unless everybody in our club signs up, we should be able to sponsor that for you guys this year. And then lastly, once again, date to be determined, but we have an end of year celebration that we're planning to do at Guinea Springs. And then afterwards at the retreat, which I want to say has like a pool and some other stuff going on. So basically to kind of celebrate the end of the year right before our exams, to kind of, you know, chill for a bit right before the exams start. So that's what's going on. And then we have a YouTube channel. If anybody ever wants to rewatch any of these presentations, or like if you miss it, then go ahead. So I'll hand it off to Diana to talk about opportunity.
Yeah, so I sent out information about this earlier this week in a newsletter, but the Kościuszko Foundation is currently accepting applications for their summer study abroad program. And basically this is a scholarship opportunity for students of Polish descent. So you do have to show that you're somehow related. But basically you get to choose to study at the Jagiellonian University in Kraków or the John Paul II Catholic University in Lublin. And basically both of these schools offer programs of different weeks. And you can basically choose to take classes in Polish language, grammar, and different history classes. And you take a placement exam as well, like when you're applying, and also like once you get there to place you in a class. But yeah, I personally received a scholarship 2 years ago, and I also know a few other POLSA members who've gotten it, and it's an incredible opportunity. Like you meet people from, I mean, every single continent, and like I still talk to those people that I've had classes with, and you really get to know the city. Like I did the one in Kraków, and like you really get to know the city well, and like it's just an amazing opportunity. So if you're even remotely interested, I highly recommend applying for this. You do need to write like a personal statement kind of essay for it, like explaining why you would want to study abroad, and also you need 2 letters of recommendation. But other than that, fairly simple, and I know there's multiple scholarships that they're giving out. And then yeah, and I think the credits do transfer over to UF. I didn't take them for credit, but I know some people who did, and it worked out. And yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to say. It covers like your dormitory, 2 meals every single day, your classes, like tuition, and then also the tourist program. So like you get to go to like this, like the ones in Kraków, you get to go to like the salt mines in Wieliczka, like the Zakopane Tatry Mountains, and like all these different excursions. But yeah, if you are interested, check out that newsletter or talk to me or find that's for more information.
On a related note, there is also another opportunity. We don't have a slide about it. The application is probably coming out in like a week-ish. Yeah. The University of Florida has a partnership with the University of Warsaw. Warsaw runs like a summer Polish language course in August. So for basically the entire month of August, 2 UF students, I think, get all of their tuition and room and board, not room and board, housing paid for. You do have to pay for the flight. Obviously, the UF semester starts like at the end of August, so their course actually runs a little bit into the UF semester. So whether you miss a few days of class or you come home early, the details of that are still to be worked out, whether that's possible or not. But be on the lookout for that if you're interested in going to Poland for a month to learn some Polish. The application will come out. We'll send it out in the newsletter, and if you're interested, get in contact with Dr. Koleska when the time comes. I went on it. Many other people have done it. It's very cool, very worth it if you can spare the time. Oh, yeah.
Do you know if it begins at the beginning of August or if it starts at the end of July? August. Oh, okay.
It used to be end of July.
August 5th and 30th of August.
And Pani Kowalska, would you like to add anything related to any of these?
I don't know anything more than what you're. But
Okay.
it's in all those fellowships, with the exception of the University of Warsaw, it is important to show your involvement in Polish community. So be prepared for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got the opportunity right here, so you're set.
Wherever you are, or family, whatever, but today you look for involvement with building Polish community as well.
But also shout out us, our club, when you talk about it. All right, so we're also doing officer elections. That will be next GBM. Here are the positions that are available, because we're doing elections for everything, even if we have people returning from our board for next next school year. So president, what does the president do? Runs GBMs, reserves spaces, organizes pretty much behind most of the stuff that we do. Vice president supports the president in those roles, helps to order food, and potentially even, like Camille was doing this year, help to organize the cooking of our food, like we did. Treasurer keeps track of budget, submits SAR requests, all of our budget stuff, and reapplying for the base funding. That's what the treasurer does. Secretary, Diane over here, did that this year. Sends out email updates if you sign up for the newsletter, that kind of thing. Send out information about that, and then background or organizational work. Outreach chair is Natalie this year. She actually, and then treasurer is Isabel. And I'll say who did what in case you want to talk to somebody about the positions and inquire about that. I was president again, so Camille, vice president, Isabel, treasurer, Diana secretary. Outreach chair Natalie's not here. She basically made all the graphics on Instagram. What you see, she runs the stuff. She ran Facebook, Instagram. I think she checks GroupMe from time to time. So she runs all that stuff. Events chair is Mikołaj. And what events chair does, organizes these events. He basically made a lot of the presentations for our GBMs this year. And then potentially, if you have extra interest, organize little, additional activities in Social Studio outside. And then finally, language chair will host language nights, primarily in person, but then if you can, virtually would be very nice. I'll hand it off to Will to explain the procedures.
So as we said, our next GBM is April 23rd. That's when we're having elections. That will be, there's also like a presentation that day, but we'll also be having elections.
Yep.
So to run, we're accepting nominations today. We will also be accepting them virtually. If you're not ready to, declare your candidacy today, or you're not present, you can DM us on Instagram or just email us. It's not like a form. You just tell us your name and what you're running for. Please do that by Sunday before the GBM so that we have the final list of candidates and we can send that out so that people know who's running for what. During the election, you will have 2 minutes to speak. We are going to be strict with that so that everyone has a fair chance to say whatever they want to say. And then once every candidate for a position speaks, we will immediately vote for that position and then move on to the next position. If you are running for multiple positions, which you are allowed to do, you will only get to speak one time. So, make your case during that one speech. You can also, you're not required to, but it would be a good idea to prepare a slide or two in Google Slides to present your candidacy. We will incorporate it into our meeting slide, and then you will have, the slide to reference as you speak. Please submit those to our Gmail by 5 p.m. on the day of the election so that we have time to put it in the slideshow. And we will be going in constitutional order, which starts with the president and then goes down the list. The previous slide that had, this is the order that it will occur in. I also wanted to say that the POLSA board operates very, communally and together, and all these positions have their individual roles, but also we have, board meetings where we meet and discuss everything. And so being a good candidate is not just, presenting an impressive resume and saying I would be a good fit for this position. It's also coming up with ideas for the club, because as a board member, you're not just, the treasurer doing the budget, you're also contributing and discussing and coming up with ideas to make the club better, a fun event, something like that. So also do some thinking and reflecting and have a proposition that you'd say, if I was elected, I would try to get us to do this, for example.
Very well said. And with that in mind, we'll do a real quick, if you are planning to run for something and you know what you're running for, would anybody like to declare themselves for a position? Treasurer Kelly. Anybody else? If not, take your time and then you can always let us know, either DM us or send us an email and we'll add you to the list and then we'll announce it. I think right after the deadline closes for us, so that you know who your competition is for that position. So anybody else? Or are we good to go? All right. So for now, that's it. And then we'll keep posted. All right. So just a real quick sports update. I'm the sports guy around here, so I like to talk about Polish sports. Jagiellonia Białystok is still the team in the first position in Ekstraklasa. So let's go Jagiellonia. Followed closely by Śląsk, Raków, and Lech Poznań. Close race. And then at the bottom, Puszcza Niepołomnice, Ruch Chorzów, LKS Łódź. And then more importantly, our national team. We played a game, I want to say it was last Thursday we played against Estonia, and this is like a one-off kind of style competition to see who gets the last spots in the Euros. We beat Estonia 5-1 on Thursday. So that was the first game we needed to win. And then tomorrow we're playing against Wales. If we win, we're in the Euros. If we don't, we are not in the Euros. So if you can, I know it's midterm season, but if you can, support our team. We need all the support we can get. We got to get to the Euros. And I think that Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine, I think, is still trying to qualify, but we beat Bosnia a few days ago. I don't keep track of football.
Okay, then if
game, I think, to qualify.
Okay, then if they won, then they also have a game, so support them too. All right, so that's quick. Now the presentation. I hand off to Nikolai and
Yeah, so Easter is a very important holiday in Europe in general, and especially in Poland. It's, after Christmas is the, I think I'd say even like in Poland, Easter is like as important as Christmas.
Yeah, for sure, as a religious holiday.
Yeah, for both Catholicism and like Orthodoxy.
Yeah, just a quick note. So you pronounce it
Pisanki.
yeah, and in Ukraine we pronounce it Paysanki. So just a little bit of a different accent. You'll see both of them on the slides since it's a joint GBM, but now you know the difference.
Yeah, we'll explain more in details later. So yeah, so first Easter in Poland, it takes a long time, like the whole like Easter in general, the process. So like it starts by Ash Wednesday and Tłusty Czwartek. So Ash Wednesday is when people, it's before the time period called the Lent, which is where you are not supposed to eat meat, or in the case of the US, you have to just give up something like candies or some other personal like so yeah, Ash Wednesday is when people go to church to get their ash to get ash on their foreheads to symbolize repentance and prepare for the Lent. Tłusty Czwartek is the last day before the Lent, so that's where you eat all the like sweet pastries. It's in the corner there is
Polski right there.
yeah,
Basically just,
a traditional
stuff
very
it in
traditional
with
pastry.
like goods.
Yeah, it's the most popular dish during the day.
Mhm.
So then there's a Lent for 40 days, if I recall correctly. And then Easter is on the first Sunday after the first full moon of the spring. So the first full moon of the spring is today, actually. So yesterday was Palm Sunday, which is when people get palms to commemorate the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, where people were waving palms at him, and people get them blessed. Yeah, so during the Easter, there's a period called Good Week, which is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah, basically it's a time of prayer and reflection to commemorate Jesus's death on the cross and resurrection. And it's in Poland. It's you get all those days off. So yeah, not fun being in America here. Yeah, then we have after on the Sunday there is Easter with a traditional breakfast and sometimes traditional Polish soup, which I will talk about later. And then after Easter there's a day called Śmigus Dyngus, which is basically where people splash themselves with water as an old tradition. And around this time usually there's a Prima Aprilis, which is like a Roman holiday where you prank when you prank other people. Yeah, April Fools basically. Yeah. Forgot the name.
So Ukraine actually has many traditions that are similar to the Polish traditions and Easter. Of course, we also have the 40 days of Lent, or called the Big Fast before Easter. But Easter is celebrated on 2 dates, and that has to do with the 2 calendars used, the Gregorian and the Julian calendar. So, for example, this year the Protestant and Catholic Easter is celebrated on March 31st, and the Orthodox Easter will be celebrated on May 5th. Eastern Ukrainian is called Velikdень, which literally translated means big day, and it kind of signifies how big of a holiday it is. In the Christian community, it's of course, as it was mentioned, one of the 2 big holidays, Christmas and Easter. And here you can see some of the goods that are eaten during Easter. So you can see the Pascha. The Pascha is eaten on Easter as a kind of symbol of breaking the 40-day fast. So the fast, especially in the Orthodox tradition, is pretty strict. It's not just meat. On some days you can't eat dairy. On some days you can't even eat foods cooked with oil. And so the Pascha breaks the fast at the end of the 40 days because you have very decadent ingredients such as lots of butter, lots of eggs, milk, and sugar in it. So kind of symbolizes all those things that you weren't able to have during those 40 days of Lent that you can now enjoy in celebration during Easter.
So like, as I said, there's a traditional breakfast and there are some dishes that are always supposed to be there. So there's also the Easter cake, which we call babka. It's just a simple sweet cake with usually with the frosting on. Chleb Wielkanocny, it's a special type of bread that is you can see is filled with this one. I think it's cranberry, but yeah, it can also have like raisins in it. Eggs. So of course, eggs as a symbol of life is consumed. It's also usually from the basket that you go to the church on Good Saturday to get blessed. So you take this, go there, and like the next day you eat it during this breakfast. Of course, mayonnaise and Polish horseradish. It's not in every area of Poland, but like where I come from, you also get them blessed. So of course they need to be there. Goes well with the eggs. Polish horseradish they're all simply the best. Biała kiełbasa, this is probably more of a regional thing from where I come from, so the Silesia. It's basically a type of white sausage that is the best sausage that there is in Poland. And usually during, Adam gets it. So usually during like lunch, there's this soup from fermented cereal that is called żurek, and it's usually served with eggs and white sausage. And it has a very specific taste, so it's not to everyone's liking, but like I recommend trying it. So
Also very good.
yeah, it's also very good.
Usually what we do also is we have kielbasa in it with, so like.
Yeah, exactly. That was
and
like
that's like
you eat it with eggs,
so good.
eggs and yeah.
activated habit.
Oh, and traditionally served in this what do you call it? A loaf of bread. So yeah.
So in Ukraine, we also take Easter baskets to get blessed at the church. And it's very common for people to go to an evening service if you're in the Orthodox Christian tradition. So you'd go around midnight, and it's a long church service that goes until the morning. And towards the morning, the baskets get blessed. And then people go home and eat a lot of the contents of the basket. And in the basket, you'll find some things that are similar to the Polish basket, like eggs, the pascha, some sausage, some cheese. Another thing of note is on Easter Day and Easter morning, people, when they see each other, they greet each other with this greeting, Christos Voskres, one person says, and the response is Voistinu Voskres, and that means Christ has risen, and the person responds, indeed, he has risen. And this isn't like just among religious people, this is like just people when you walk outside, like if you see your neighbor going to work, like you will greet them with this greeting, no matter if you consider yourself to be very religious or not. Just a little fun tradition that we have.
Okay, so in Polish that would be Jezus zmartwychwstał. So basically, yeah. So pisanka, what is a pisanka or no, I cannot. Can you read?
Paisanka?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pronounced.
So a common name for an egg made during Easter that is richly ornamented using various techniques. It gets really colorful, and the techniques used to make them are, as you will later see, are becoming very complex and interesting. So the tradition of decorating eggs is a symbol of life and rebirth. It came from Persia, Rome, China, and Egypt. So, and symbols, all the symbols on the eggs have some sort of a meaning. So, for example, those are Mary's tears, or like Net is Christ, the fisher of men. There's also pine trees will symbolize health, rooster fertility, bird symbolizes happiness, flowers love and children, and a rake symbolizes a harvest. So many regions of Poland and Ukraine have had this tradition, and originally it was only for women. So like women would gather around and like prepare those pisankas. So if a man accidentally walked in, the room would have to be purified with salt, and he would be kicked out. Not the most gruesome tradition, but yeah. So the oldest discarded pisanka is from Ostrówek, and it dates to the 10th century, so 1,000 years ago. So it's a very old tradition, for sure.
Apparently it was very good.
So Lvov Pisanka Festival.
Yeah, and then Lviv, which is in Western Ukraine, there's actually a Pisanka festival each year where they display these huge eggs around town. You could see some of the very unique and cool designs, and just the sheer size and detail of it is pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah. So pisanki are added to Easter, but like I said, on Good Saturday, people would get like food to like get blessed, and usually pisankas, bunnies, and lambs, which are Christian symbols, are like blessed along with the food. So on the right side, we can see, for example, the sham or horseradish. So this is like a what the dressing of the baskets would look like. There. So yeah, like I said, it's all later eaten on the Easter Sunday for breakfast. So pisanki are part of many Polish historic art forms. The word pisanki was generalized over time. It can be used to describe the following forms as well. So basically, pisanki means to write something, so to do something creative. Pisać, yeah. So kraszanki is when you dye eggs in a solid color, and krasić means to decorate or to dye. And it's from Pomeranian region, so close to my home. So that's what we would do at my home, but like in when my grandma's place, we would do like other techniques. So we do this, we do exactly this. So drapanki or kroszanki, which is, yeah, we dye it in a solid color, usually this brownish color, which gives like a really good decorational colors. And drapać means to scratch, and it's from Silesia. So my grandma has a lot of these. Drapanki. Yeah. So malować means to paint. So you just paint folk designs on the egg, and that's basically it. Usually they're like floral. The most common like motifs are the floral ones, as you can see on the pictures. And yeah, pisanki, yeah, it technically means that you have to inscribe something with wax and repeatedly dye it. So this is the one I did once in middle school, and I'm very proud of it still.
Nice.
Nalpianki. So you basically dye it, and you inscribe the egg with the wax, and you repeatedly dye it. Nalepiać means to stick something onto something. So, and it's from Łowicz and Kraków. You can see this color palette is very, very specific to these two regions. Like every folk decorations you can see are in this specific kinds of colors. So, but also there are like more modern styles. This is a very popular one nowadays in Poland. You have like hollow eggs with holes in it that serves as decorations. This, I think it's crochet, I think, maybe.
It looks like it.
And
Yeah. So many of those aforementioned styles are also present in Ukraine, like the krashanki and the drapanki, and we have similar names for it because we have similar root words oftentimes with Polish. But now we'll go a little bit more into the actual pisanki method, the wax method that Mikołaj talked about. That's kind of traditional. So the initial step is boiling the eggs with vinegar to whiten them. Sometimes the egg is like gently cracked in one spot to actually drain the egg insides and have a follow egg that you can then keep for many years. And what you do is you prepare various dyes in containers, and you dye it going from the lightest color to the darkest color. So you'll dye it once and then put wax over it, and the wax that you have just put down will seal in that first color because it's now covered in wax. It's becoming kind of waterproof. And you do that with this little pen, which in Ukrainian is called pisachok. It's coming from the same word as pisanka, which is pisate. And you scoop some of the wax up, you heat it up over something hot like a fire, scoop up some of the wax and lay down the wax over the egg and seal in that color. Then you dye it in another color, and that seals in that color. You're going from light to dark, so you have these layers of colors, and hopefully there won't be too much mixing in the color. And as an end result, you'll get something pretty fun, and then you put it over the fire and you just wipe off the wax, and it kind of blends in and comes off, and you get the full color, and some of the color from underneath is revealed. And you can dye it either with commercial dyes nowadays, or you could do some traditional methods. For example, you could do onion skins for like an orange color. You could do turmeric or beets for a red color. There's all sorts of natural methods as well.
So we have some seasonal greetings. So spokojnych I pogodnych świąt wielkanocnych, which is peaceful and pogodny. This would be yeah, basically the synonym of peaceful Easter. Radosnych świąt wielkanocnych, happy Easter. Wesołego Alleluja, which means happy Alleluja, which is more of a Catholic greeting. Mokrego dyngusa, which means yeah, have a fun śmigus dyngus. So basically, I tell you to get splashed with water. Smacznego eka, which means tasty eggs. Tasty, also the tasty ham, which is smashing szynki. And bogatego zajączka. Okay, so I didn't talk about this one, but there are some regions in Poland where I come from, for example, where not only does the Santa Claus bring presents on Christmas, but also the Easter Bunny also brings presents for kids. So you would wake up on Monday after Easter and find some gifts under the, not under the Christmas tree, but like hidden somewhere in the house. Okay, so there will be so now we're gonna do the painting of the pisankas, and we have prizes awarded for the most Polish egg, the most Ukrainian egg, the funniest egg, ugliest egg. I won this one last year.
It was very good.
You gotta decide which way you're gonna go.
Best UF egg, best traditional egg, and at the end we will vote on each one.
So we'll hand out food and at the same time we'll
Yeah.
do study. So take your pick as far as which one you'll
So
want.
smacznego, or how do you pronounce this?
Yeah. Smacznego, yeah.
Smacznego.
Go.
So maybe you guys set up the pisanka and I'll start taking care of the food and then people can do whichever one.
Sounds good, so.
So here are all the links that you need.
That's
We can, like, bring this out.
Thanks for watching. See you.
Maybe.